You're listening to the Warriorside Podcast, transformational storytelling from veterans and first responders. Tales of triumph, loss, and perseverance.
Welcome to the Warriorside Podcast. The stories you hear from our veterans and first responders are reflections of their individual paths that are certain to be different from yours. What worked for their healing and awareness may not work for you. Alternative approaches to health, such as plant medicines and non-ordinary states of consciousness coaching, are frequently discussed throughout these episodes. This is simply a byproduct of the experience of many of our storytellers and is in no way an endorsement of these tools that are clearly not for everyone. In every case, these experiences were executed with mindful preparation, professional facilitation, and supportive integration coaching. We do not recommend or endorse any specific substance or protocol to anyone. I am a coach, not a licensed therapist, psychologist, or medical professional. The conversations here reflect my own learning process and the unique connection I share with each guest. What you witness is an expression of that specific moment and is not intended as medical or psychological advice. Everyone is on their own path. Your path is your own. Take these conversations in curiosity and with the explorer's spirit. Take what serves you, leave what doesn't. Finally, if you are struggling with thoughts of suicide or are in crisis, don't wait. Call or text 988 or call 911 immediately. There is a way through the dark, but you have to reach out and connect. And so it is. Connection is the medicine. And this is the Warriorside Podcast. Let's talk over fire. Welcome to Warriorside. This is Diego, and you're listening to the podcast where we bring you powerful, transformative stories from the front lines of resilience and humanity. Every episode, we dive deep into the minds and hearts of those who have faced their greatest challenges head on, revealing the secrets, struggles, and strategies that forged them into the people they are today. Everyone is on their own path. These insights are not meant to be a guideline for your experience, but rather to provide further evidence that transcendence comes through the struggle and that we aren't meant to walk this path alone. As always, never forget the most powerful medicine we have available to us as humans: connection. Warriorside is a platform designed to inspire others to step outside of the prison and the suffering of the mind and connect with others to help find their way. Stories told on Warriorside are authentic, vulnerable, and transformational. Each episode, our guests will take you on a journey through their most defining moments, offering insights that go beyond the surface, revealing the lessons that truly mattered to them and catapulted them into a higher state of existence. I'd love to introduce you now to Noah Galloway, our co-host. Go for it, brother.
You know what? Great introduction. Great start to the
Thank you, man.
podcast. And I think that, so this episode, we're going to just kind of introduce ourselves as we move forward and talk about what kind of people we're going to have on. I know you said a lot in that introduction, but I'm excited to do this with you, Diego.
It's our first episode ever.
Yeah. No, I'm super excited about it. When you first reached out to me and told me the concept of Warriorside, like, it was so powerful. I could not wait to be part of it, I came out to San Diego and did a Warriorside event there, the classes. And the concept of it, of veterans and first responders learning how to share their stories, is something that I've been speaking for 20 years now. And I have told people that when I'm on stage, I tap into a part of my brain that I don't always connect with. When I'm sharing my story, I'm realizing things as it's happening. I'm feeling the emotions. And I think it's powerful for men and women that have gone through trauma and struggles to learn to share their stories, not necessarily to do it always on a stage, but just for people to learn to tell their stories. And when you shared it with me, everything about this, I was all about it. The class blew my mind. Even as a speaker for 20 years, I took something away from it, and it was amazing. And now we're doing a podcast that we're going to be sharing with a lot of people, and I'm super pumped about it.
Yeah, me too. I'm very, very excited for many reasons. One is getting to hang out with you, which you and I have shared some seriously deep moments. But also, everyone who goes to the Warrior Side training, which what we call FEST, or Foundations of Elite Storytelling Tactics. Everyone who goes through FEST training has the ability to come on this podcast and share their stories, because usually, we'll have like a graduation, we'll get up on stage, we'll have about 3 or 4 major live shows around the country every year, but not everybody gets a chance to hear it. But coming on the podcast here and getting an opportunity to share their stories obviously widens that perspective out a lot, and where the audience can reach people from all over the world. So we're excited about that, because it's one of the things that may surprise people is, our approach to storytelling is very different than most people I'm aware of. It's not about telling the story. It's not about starring on an episode or being the star on the stage. The reason why we're here is we are here to honor the path of life itself. These stories are not just stories. These are the transformational crucibles that these storytellers had the honor to experience, which then catapulted them into the state of being in existence that they're currently existing in now. It's because of some of these really, really hard, really dark, and really scary, and really all the things that they have come to a place where they can transcend. So it's not, hey man, this is me, this is my story, check me out, like I'm on LinkedIn. This is what Mother Nature has brought to my feet, and here's how I did.
Yeah,
you
no,
know,
and
some
yeah,
broken bones, some this and that, whatever. Yeah.
and I love that it's, like you said, it's storytelling. It's sharing your story. There's no need. We're not trying to educate anyone, anything. We're not selling anything. It is just sharing our stories and the impact it's had on our lives. And I know from the group I was with in San Diego, everyone, and I've always said it, everyone has a story. It's just some of us are better at telling it than others. And then to have the opportunity to learn from people to tell that story. Because I mean, there is a huge difference in the short couple of days of hearing someone try to tell their story. They're all over the place. And then at the end of the course, they were able to lay it out in a way that was ingestible as an audience member.
Yeah, I've been telling or having keynotes and been on stage and all that for a long time. I retired out of the SEAL teams in 2018, and we started a leadership development company, and we were training Google and training Hertz and ADP and all these really big companies. And for me, I was just speaking, as I always do, from my heart. I don't really worry too much about what people think. I have different perspectives on things, which, uh, for obvious reasons, I love. So I'm happy to share those. But that was it. I was I've always been, I think I might have told you this. So the earliest in my life, I recognized that I had some sort of navigability around stories,
Mhm.
or telling stories. As I was in 5th grade, and I had this really profound dream, which I can't remember now. But when I came to school, I came a little earlier. My best friend showed up, and I was sitting on the stoop of the steps outside of the door of my classroom, and he was standing adjacent to me, and I just started telling him all of this experience. And I remember being so immersed in recreating, what I had experienced the night before, that by the time I got done finished telling my story, I looked around and my entire class was standing around me like in a school circle, just
Yeah.
listening to every word I said. I was, whoa, what's going on? And, I think everyone has the ability to tell stories, but it was something that I feel like came naturally to me in a way. And when I really started focusing on this, which we can get into a little bit later, I realized that, yeah, there were some natural skills maybe that I had, but I never really sat down and learned
Mhm.
how to tell a super powerful story. So I did. I learned how to tell really super powerful stories. We put together a curriculum, and we found an amazing guy. His name is John Bates. He's been teaching public speaking for 15 years, and he fell in love with our mission. And so he and I get together and we teach these classes. And you're jumping in with us as a storyteller. You got a motivational guy and that kind of thing. So yeah, we're rolling.
Yeah, when I got into speaking, so it's coming up on 20 years since I was injured in Iraq, lost my arm, my leg, and you know this, but a lot of people may not. It wasn't until about 4 years ago I started my mental health journey, and 2 years ago was real impactful. A year ago, I'm still going through changes and evolving. But what's interesting is when I look back as a speaker, I started speaking right after I was injured. And
Mm,
things that I'm realizing now, I can look back and I experienced them when I'd share my story. So I was as crazy as it sounds like, and I hadn't thought this all the way through, but it's like I was tapping into something on stage that I wasn't quite capable of until I started my mental health journey. I didn't realize the connection because I've had friends joke and say that I talk differently when I'm on stage, just like I am. I'm in a different place and everything's polished and you're well spoken, but I speak from the heart and things would come out that I didn't realize how much they meant to me until I did
mm,
the work. But there is something that comes from storytelling that is healing. Like when people would stop me and ask me, "Do you mind if I ask you?" I was like, "Please." Like I love sharing my story. That's why I love doing it on stage. There's a healing process that comes from it. When you acknowledge things that have happened to you. It's one thing to sit and think about it, but it's another to learn how to put it into words and explain it in a way that both you understand it and the listener understands it. And that's what's so powerful about Warrior Side, because allowing us to tap into that is something that is necessary. And then, I'll add, there was something great about being with a group of men and women that we all have something in common and we're all there to share something. We're all open and we're listening to each other, and it builds a camaraderie a community that we all need. Like that's human nature.
yeah. What you're talking about, to my mind, is energy. I see everything as energy.
Uh-huh.
As far as I mean, I'm not a scientist. This is just what seems to be in my experience, as far as I can interpret it for whatever that's worth.
Mhm.
Is everything seems to be energy. And if there is a story to tell, whether or not you tell it or not, that energy exists within. And if this is another really important thing about Warrior Side, because we ask the question, what is the story that you're telling? Because if people don't deeply understand the core elements to their story, meaning they've turned over every stone and gotten
Uh,
to the root of all this, they can be telling stories that harm themselves. It's almost like drinking a teaspoon of poison every time they tell it.
mm,
I've heard many people say, man, I can't tell that story one more goddamn time. And it's like, oh, well, maybe there's more. And the reason why there's more is because any level of suffering that we're experiencing, that's not the period at the end of the sentence. That's just the beginning of the journey.
yeah.
So if a certain component of your story hurts to tell publicly or anywhere, or even out loud to yourself in the bathroom or something, then there's more to learn. There's more to learn. And when you learn, when you turn over those stones and you heal because of those things, then you can tell the story 1.5 million times, because every time you tell it, it's powerful, it's empowering, it's
Yeah.
healing. And by telling the story, you're allowing this stuck energy that's inside of you to cycle out of you and into the world. And that in and of itself, as you were saying before, that is a healing component. It's a massive healing component. So yeah, there is a lot of really good that can come out of telling your stories in this way.
Yeah. Can we share how you and I met?
Yeah. You want to do
Well,
it?
yeah. Well, I'll start. I had, like I said, I started my mental health journey about 4 years ago. I lightly, like if baby steps. But I started experimenting with psilocybin, magic mushrooms. And that started showing me a side of things that I hadn't dealt with and I needed to work on. And then that led into, me going to therapy, doing a whole bunch of other different things. And then the opportunity, my wife found a group that goes to Peru, takes veterans to Peru to do ayahuasca. And that is where I met you. You were, you've done it several times, but you were more of our guide down there and throughout the
Mhm.
ceremony and everything. Someone because we built a rapport even before we went, doing Zoom calls, and then being there, we all connected to you. You just have that light inside of you that just draws, and you're so easy to talk to. So you're the perfect person to be doing that job or anything you do, just connecting with people. But I know that then fast forward, you start the warrior side, and I go to it, and I end up my story was something that I had taken out of Peru, which during my ayahuasca journeys, it was 3 days in a row, 3 I always tell people 3 nights of misery. It was like it hit like it was not a great experience, but it was necessary. But a story that I had shared with you and the group was something that I had realized, but until you have to create it into a story and give a speech on it, you don't really connect to it as deeply. I felt like once I had to work through it and tell the story, well, then it really started to make sense because that speech evolves before in just a couple of days of, oh, okay, I need to adjust this, I need to adjust that, and you learn different things from you and from John, and then the story is that much more impactful, not just for the listener, but I know personally for me as the speaker, like I connected with that story even more. And that, in a nutshell, is how we met. And then you said, hey, you want to do a podcast, a Warriorside podcast, and share these stories? I was like, please let me be part of that. So that's my story of how we met. You can go on and tell everybody how you were just impressed with this amazing human being you met. No, I'm joking. I don't
We
mean
only
like this
have an
guy.
hour, bro. We only have an hour. Yeah, man. I mean, so Warrior Side had been kind of rolling around in my mind for a very long time. And I knew essentially the core essence of these stories were just going to be monstrously powerful.
Yeah.
And over time, because we're asking people, that is the assignment. I want to know your most authentic, vulnerable, transformational lived experience in 10 minutes or less. And so when the key word there being transformational. So it has to, you were one way and then you experienced something and you showed up to the world in a completely different way. And because of the way our brains work, usually that gravitates towards darkness because self-preservation, all the things. And so people really choose to bring, hey, I got run over by a steamroller and here's how I made it back. So they're really, really heavy. And what I didn't want to have, which is okay if it is, but what I didn't want to have was just like heavy bomb after heavy bomb after heavy bomb after heavy bomb and say, all right, everybody, thanks for coming out. Have a good night. I knew we needed comedy, man. I knew we needed light. I knew we needed like this powerful, unusual energy that doesn't exist really within everyone you meet. And the moment you started talking about being on the cover of Men's Health magazine and Dancing with the Stars, and the way you were talking about how I light up, that you were lighting up what we call the Chiloka, and I'm saying, oh yeah, 100%. Noah's got to be on this thing because in the midst and the break of all these big earth shattering things, Noah's just going to have everyone laughing in their seats. So yeah, he's the guy.
Well, I'm honored that you asked me because I'm excited about this. I'm looking forward to us Just from the small amount of people that I've met, I know you've already done other classes, there's more lined up, and you have all these different, connections. I'm looking forward to us having these people on after they've experienced Warrior Side and share their stories and us talk about and for people to hear what the transformation was for them in sharing their story and how they created it and how it went from them rambling to having something that's well polished and done and can be done in 10 minutes and be beautiful and entertaining and enjoyable in whatever sense that it is. And I think this is going to be, I'm excited about it. And I hope that more importantly, I hope that this shows a lot of people and we encourage more and more men and women to get involved with Warrior Side, whether it's coming to taking the courses or being a sponsor that allows us to keep doing this, to offer this to our veterans and first responders. Because, and I always love to point this out when there are organizations that work with first responders, people don't think about because they're a smaller group, they don't get as much of the support as veterans do. So it's like you put a veteran with a group of first responders and we click the same way. Regardless
Hmm.
of what the job was, we always say that as as a veteran, I was a servant in the military. I wanted to serve, I wanted to protect, I wanted to be part of something. And first responders are the same way. So I love that this is veterans and first responders that are going to get to go to these courses and improve their ability to share and understand their stories.
Yeah. But one of the things I wanted to talk about is something you were talking about a few minutes ago about learning more about your story. I have just the components that we integrate into the storytelling. We're really asking hard questions about. We need to know more information about this. Where's the suspense? There, it exists.
Yeah.
Where is it? Where is where are the stakes? Where's the cliffhangers? Where's the comedy at? Where does it already exist within the story? And talking about the story arc and everything. And I think about asking those questions. Mm, to your point a few minutes ago, it gets the storyteller asking more questions within that they may not have
Yeah.
necessarily even thought to ask as they're just thinking about how they experience their story. And I think that's what
Yeah.
those are some of those unturned stones. It's like, oh, do you notice this self-talk that you're using? What is that? And what does that mean? And what does it really mean?
Yeah.
And what do you really mean to say instead? And those things, I mean, how many times did you stop in the middle of developing your story and say, "Wait a minute, maybe this is not what I thought that it
Yeah.
was?"
Well, it fall not to interrupt you, but it falls on point of saying, like,
Mhm.
here's an example. I can tell the story of how I was injured by a roadside bomb, woke up in the hospital, missing an arm and a leg, but when you share it as a story, well, then you have to engulf the listener in. I have to share what I was feeling, and sometimes we
Mhm.
can tell a story a million times, but never tap into, "What was I feeling in that moment?" And that can be that is extremely
Authentically.
powerful, yeah, because it brings up and then helps you to work through what it was you were feeling and experiencing because we can bottle things up. We can put things on the back burner and completely forget about it until we're forced to look at it. And that's one thing that's happened with me with storytelling.
Yeah, that's what we do because you can tell those stories without being vulnerable,
Yes.
and you can tell those stories without being authentic.
Yes.
"Oh, man, it was crazy. I got blown up and I woke up in the hospital. It was fucking crazy."
Yeah.
Or you can be you can talk yourself through what it was like to experience the essence of what it was to look down and no longer be looking at a lake.
Yeah.
It's the same story, but it's profoundly different. And this is why I think it's so, because there is no healing. And not that everybody needs to heal, but if you choose to heal, you're not going to heal by saying, "Yeah, man, it was crazy. I got blown up, woke up in the hospitals. It was amazing. And I made it. And here I am because I
Yeah.
just did all this awesome stuff." This is going to do nothing for you.
Yeah.
Nothing. You'll get a lot of applause and a lot of accolades and a lot of praise. You tell that story for long enough, it's going to be like drinking alcohol. just over and over,
Yeah.
just a road away. But you go get in and you allow yourself to come to acceptance of how hard that was and how scary it was,
Yeah.
and how who has been through the process of getting their leg and their arm blown off? Nobody. I mean, in your play, you know people now, but in your,
Oh, yeah,
I
in
mean,
my
how many
experience,
people
and
did you
we
know?
gotta wake up. I woke up on Christmas Day, 6 days after an explosion that I don't remember, and it was all news to
Mhm.
me of all the injuries that I had. And it was like I tell people all the time, I'm like, I didn't know whether I should be upset about my arm and my leg or the career that I had found. Most people go their entire lives to never find a career. I had found it and then woke up one day and it was gone. And it was all
Mhm.
these different emotions and things that happened. And yeah, when you share a story, you have to dive into that because you want the listener to be there to experience. It's just like if you read a book or watch a movie, if you're not in it, you're not going to connect with it. It's not there. And you have to bring the listener along. And that's what's powerful about storytelling.
One of the directions that we're trying to go, and this takes time. This is not as simple as just saying the words. One of the processes that we're trying to bring the storyteller through is to completely lose all awareness of the audience at all. It's just reliving this moment, but powerfully
Yeah.
from a place of awareness. And so, and what I was saying before was true, is this is honoring the path. So if there were yellow flowers on the side of the road as you noticed all this was going on, I mean, that's something that contributed, that may have contributed somehow to the dichotomy of what you were experiencing. Or, we have another guy, Jim Byrne, who's talking about being in a firefight, and he was in Afghanistan, and he was in the midst of exchanging bullets with the enemy, and just where he was, the vibration of his gun were rattling the trees, and purple and pink flowers were flying all over him, falling down gently and lovingly, and almost peacefully over him while he's in the middle of this firefight. And who you know what if these stories were told not necessarily for the shock and awe of the audience, but to really, really come to a place of bringing yourself back to that moment,
Mm.
so that you could honor the process.
Yeah.
You could re-experience in full view, where you're not just, tunnel vision, you're not this, but you're bringing in all these elements that add to this experience. You can you can bring back all these. UPS, the guy is here. Hey, what's up?
I was like, you have guests coming
So,
over? And now,
oh yeah, hey, we're doing a podcast. It's amazing. Uh, so anyway, so you can imagine bringing that, all of those elements together, like a painting.
yeah,
You're you're making a painting of this life experience that you were able to experience, because this is what the universe had for you, man. And every single stroke, I've never met one of those really powerful painters that they said, hey, there's about 12 or 15 of these strokes on here that are completely meaningless, don't pay attention to those. It's like,
yeah,
no, every single
stroke.
stroke matters, that is contributing to this beautiful work of art. And so, by telling the story, by immersing yourself in that moment from a place of observance instead of, potentially the victim or whatever it
Yeah,
is, it is a powerful and beautiful experience. And by the way, maybe the audience is blown away by this moment. And if they aren't, that's okay. That's irrelevant. What is relevant is, this is the most transformational experience of my life. Here's what I learned, and here's where I'm continuing to figure things out. Thank you so much for listening.
I love it. I love the comparison of an artist and painting. That's well said because yeah, every stroke matters and everything in the story, you know, plays a purpose of really reliving it and being there. And I'll tell you another thing that I enjoyed about the course I went through was because it was you and John. And John,
Mhm.
who is a speaker, trained speakers for TED Talks, all kind of things. and you've studied, how to storytell, be a speaker as well. But then those two different perspectives, because there's a side of you, that is there's a side of you that is more than just teaching us to speak and share a story. You have a side of you that taps into all these other dynamics, because of your background, because of what you've experienced and what you bring to the table. And that's what made the teamwork of the two of y'all so great and so enjoyable, because there was so much great things to take in without being overwhelming. It was a really good course, and I highly enjoyed it. And I look forward to being part of other groups and then seeing as this evolves and gets bigger and bigger and more people get to experience it. Because what do you have? Is there anything on the calendar next for what's coming up?
Yeah, so it is, what is it, April 2025 now. In June, we have been picked up by Psychedelic Science, which is the largest psychedelic conference in the world, in Denver. It's happening in Denver, June 18th. We have 7 speaker slots allotted to us. 7 speaker slots allotted to us, which is giant. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
So we're going to have Warriorside Story. You're going to be there. Amanda, your wife, is going to be there. And after that, in July, we're having our second San Diego cohort. We're going to have 8 storytellers come in there. Their graduation is going to happen in August out in town here somewhere. And then in September, we're going to go to Boston and then New York City back to back to do more training. We'll have a graduation in August. And then in December, we're going back to New York City for our second huge Warriorside storytelling show of the year, where anybody who has been through Fest training has an ability to audition for that show and get up on stage and tell their stories in really powerful ways. So yeah, there's a lot of things coming up on the calendar.
Do we have an idea of some guests that we already know we're gonna have you talked to anybody we know who are we don't have to say who the next guest is. We may not have that laid out. Maybe you do. But do we give us some ideas of some people that are gonna come on and share their stories?
Well, one person I can't wait to have on the show, he has yet to go through Fest training, but he's going to go through. And as soon as he goes through, he's coming on the podcast. And his name is Dustin D'Onofrio. And he's a guy that I coached with Heroic Hearts Projects, who by the way, that's how you and I met. That was through Heroic Hearts Project and all the efforts that they have in helping veterans recover. But I'm really excited about having Dustin on, because he is the reason why Warriorside exists. And he'll swear up and down to this day that none of that is true, but it is 100% true. And the reason why, and this is kind of an interesting story, I think it's the most interesting story, but whatever. So I had a keynote to give in Las Vegas, and I'm sitting there on stage and I'm dropping like these massive bombs of information and really captivating, in my mind, topics and things that I'm talking. I'm looking out on the audience, and there are people on their cell phones, and I'm thinking, how is this possible? Because I'm talking about some crazy stuff that is all unbelievably real. And so I didn't really understand. So I continue on with my keynote, and then I go home. And it just so happened that I had another keynote to give in Alaska in a few weeks' time. And so that was going to be a different one. So I built that talk. And as soon as I was done with that, somebody called me up and they asked, "Hey, how's it going? How's the keynote for Alaska going?" And I said, "I don't know. I think it's going pretty good, but I thought Las Vegas was awesome too, and everybody's on their cell phone, dude." And so she's like, "Well, just tell me the story." So I told her the keynote. She said, "It's an amazing story. Just change the order in which you tell it. Just put part 4, put it at part 1, put part 1, put it at part 4, rotate the 2s and 3s and see what happens." So, okay, that's what I did. I go to Alaska, and people were crying. Everybody was laughing. And for the first time ever, I got a standing ovation walking off the stage.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, what? Like, all I had
You would just do the
this whole
order.
time, all I had to do was just change the order. And so that was very, very heavy in the back burner once that story was over. But Dustin had actually flown out to Alaska to come see me give my talk, along with an amazing other teammate at Warriorside, Crystal Romero. She's our pain in the activist. She will be on here at some point. But so they both flew out to Alaska to come hear me do my talk. But I really, really, really wanted to talk to Dustin, because a few months before that, he sent me a text that says, "Bro, I'm being hunted." And then he texted me a picture of a bear in the wild. And I didn't know what happened. I was like, "Dude, are you okay? Like, did you live?" I didn't know what was going on. I didn't hear from him again until he showed up in Alaska. And so to say thank you, I took them out to dinner. And he starts telling us his story. Now he gets in this plane, flies them out to the middle of nowhere in Alaska, drops them off for a 5-day bear hunting trip. And he goes, on the first day, I picked up the scent of the trail of a bear. And on the second day, I realized that the bear was hunting me. And the reason why is because I was looking at the horizon. There's a defilade, the little mound of hill. And he looks, and the bear kind of comes up, looks, sees him, and it slowly goes back down under the defilade. And about 40 minutes later, it's like a completely different compass declination or bearing. Bear comes up, looks, sees him, slightly comes back down, and it hits him in cold. He's this thing is coming after me, and I'm here for just a good time. And this guy's out here to survive.
Yeah.
And he's going to kill me because he needs to live. And he realizes that it's his wits against this wild beast. Yeah. And he knows that the bear's using wind direction and defilade and all the things. And so he whips out his map and he goes, "Hey, if I stay right here, the bear only has this option to come down this trail and meet me here." So he was freaking out. Every single time a twig broke, he didn't know if there was just going to be a claw coming out of nowhere and lopping off his head. He didn't know how to sleep. He didn't know when to sleep. All this, and all of a sudden he sees around the corner, this bear comes in, and he sees him finally on the third day, and he kills him. And it's and the whole time he's telling this story, I'm sitting on the edge of my seat, just like, like I still don't know if he's going to live or not, kind of thing.
Even though he's sitting right there.
He's sitting right there. I don't know if he died 5 months ago, came back to the dead to tell me the story. But while I'm listening to him, to every word, every syllable he's saying, I'm thinking, people need to hear these stories, man. Yeah. I mean, every veteran I know has 15 or 20 stories in their pocket that most people would not even believe is possible for a human being to experience. It's just, we have stories coming out of our ears, man. And so while I was experiencing that, I also experienced very, very clearly, some people call this God, some people call this divine guidance, some people would call this, my soul or whatever it is. But I saw the words Warriorside, and I saw the whole idea of veterans getting on stage and telling these stories for healing. And I also saw the House of Blues, which is where we had our grand premiere opening in San Diego. So after that, so that was in September. I went back. I got a hold of 3 guys that are friends of mine. We built stories. In November, we had a soft opening at the Hotel del Coronado in San Diego. It went amazingly well. And the one lesson that came out of that is we need storytelling training. Yeah. And so I developed a curriculum, and that's where you came in March, and that was it. We're off to the races. So that's how Warriorside started.
I love it. And I can't wait to do our next episodes and start introducing these people. I think that it's going to be really enjoyable to the listener because there's, like you said, there's so many stories, and then to hear these experiences of their transformation and their transformation of telling the story is going to be powerful. And I think that that's where this podcast is I'm really excited about it, because we're going to continue to branch out and share more, reach more people, and help more veterans and first responders go through this experience.
Yeah, I'm also excited to bring in Rob Pointer. He's going to be coming on here, and this guy's a retired sheriff.
Yeah, I was in the course with Rob.
Yeah, he talks about how psychedelics saved his life.
Yeah,
it's the most ironic thing ever, I suppose, and it was really amazing. He's got a fantastic story, and he's going to be excited to share that as well.
Yeah, I'm super pumped about it. What do you see? If one thing came out of this podcast, what do you want that one thing to be? What is there's other objectives, ideas, but what is the main thing you want to come out of this?
When I'm at my best, I don't want in that way. I know that there is power behind this, and just putting it out there, one person is going to get something out of it that I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
And that's what I want for them. Another person is going to get something else that I can't imagine, that I never thought of.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. And that's what I want for them. I don't have to worry about objectives or outcomes because I know what this is. I mean, this is as authentic as it gets, to my awareness. This is as vulnerable and transformational as these people's lives have ever been. We don't have to worry. It will be as it will be. And whatever comes of this for the individuals, it's going to be perfect, whatever it is. And I can just sit and observe and allow all this and hold space for people who are choosing to come on this medium and tell their story in this way, and just make sure that they know that they're loved and they're supported and they're in good company. Company that can hold this kind of space, and everything else will be as it will it not?
That was I was waiting for you to quote Kevin Costner and say, if you build it, they will come. Even though he didn't say that, but he heard it.
He did a couple of times.
He heard it,
but he did say it a couple of times. Well, I think he said it. Well, for sure, he said it to his wife, right?
Okay.
He's like, "What did they say? Have you built it?" Well, yeah, but I don't know if he said it in the feed store or not. I think he just asked if, "Hey, do you guys ever hear voices out in the field? Like, you're hearing voices?" He's like, "No, I thought wondering. You were supposed to."
Yeah. Have you heard anything? I don't. I'm not.
Thought I was doing something wrong, man. Yeah.
But no, I love that was your answer. I didn't know that's what you were going to say, but that's the perfect, let's just put it out there and let it do what it's supposed to do. I love that.
Yeah. I spent a lot of time leaving the one who wants things to be a certain way, or not necessarily leaving, but bringing more to my awareness the one who doesn't care how it is. But the one within me, there is someone somewhere within me that is really deathly afraid that this, I don't know, does something, I guess, I don't know, but that's just the thinking mind. And that is a big part of, it's a big giant separator of the way we tell stories. People say, "Oh, I want to learn how to tell stories." Okay, well, just so you know, we get into conscious awareness. Like, "Oh, I don't care about that." Oh, cool. And Warriorside's not for you, because that's what it is. There are hundreds of storytelling organizations out there that'll tell you all the key components that one needs to have a incredible gripping story, and it's kind of the way they teach it that separates them from one another. But I think why I love Warriorside so much is because it is bringing the notion of conscious awareness into how you're telling your story. It is connecting with the one that is you, that is really, really you, and telling a story from there, as opposed to telling the story from the thinking mind. which is not necessarily, I don't think, commonly understood in our culture. But I think that's a big reason why we have so much mental health issues in our cultures, because we don't understand that we are not the one who is thinking. We're not the one who is troubled with our thoughts. We're not the one who worries. We're not that's just a one within us. That's a compartment. That's a part within us that doesn't understand what's going on. But who you really are knows all of these things, and you don't have to worry. So just even introducing those concepts to people who've been struggling with the fear and the judgment and the shame or the anger or whatever it is for all their lives, just introducing these notions to them is healing in and of itself, which is why it doesn't matter if they get on stage or tell their story or not. Just going through the course itself is healing.
Well, that's what Warriorside offers. That, it's nothing against these other groups. If you want to go and be a speaker, and work for a company that can do sales pitches, or you want to be an educator, this is storytelling, and it's more than just storytelling. It is getting to know yourself. And that's where earlier when I said having you and John's dynamic is so powerful, because you bring a dynamic that isn't offered anywhere else. Like you're a coach in a way that is for mindfulness, and that's that's what Warriorside has to offer that is different than other groups. Because this isn't a competition of one or the other. Just saying that this is for, like, myself, someone who has been through something traumatic and had a revelation, has had a change in my life, and being able to put that into words and wrap my head around it and share it in a way that I'm like, oh, that's what that was.
Yes, because the thinking mind can create all the narratives you want, whether it actually happened or it didn't happen, whether it resulted in a certain thing or it didn't. The thinking mind is absolutely capable of creating things that never were. It's also absolutely capable of making things worse than they ever were. It's capable of making things incredibly better than they ever actually were in the moment. And so when people don't understand that that's one of the things that the mind does, and they attach to their thoughts, their state of being is at the whim of whatever mood their mind chooses to be from moment to moment.
Yeah.
And so there are a few things that we can control, but one of the things we can control is our state of being. So if my mind is going off all this crazy thing, well, tax season's coming up, and or it already passed,
I
or
was about to
whatever
say,
it
if you
is,
haven't done it by now, you're in trouble, Diego, but go ahead.
I'm in trouble. Well, you can see it's like, well, I might as well, oh, well, did they process it?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I did what I was supposed to do, but did they do their job? My mind's doing all that
Yeah.
right now just because we're talking about it, and it doesn't matter. Okay, cool. My mind's worried about it, but it won't be in a minute. It's not my job to stop it. You can't stop the mind. It is movement. It moves 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, always creating, always evolving, always, 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 always moving. And I can let that be as it is. And I can just bring my focus awareness to what is now, which is, I'm pretty sure I pay my taxes. But I'm here with you is what is happening now. And that's it.
And that's a powerful thing to learn in the course, is to be present in that moment. When we, had a chance just with our class group to stand in front of the class and then share what we have, even though we've broken into different groups and done that, but to do it in front of everybody, you have to be present. You have to be there, because you can tell if someone were giving a speech and just going through the motions. And there's a difference when someone, just is telling their story, and that they're in the presence of that story, and it brings you along on the ride.
Yeah. You can tell there's a difference between going through the motions and honoring your path of life. Those are not the same thing. rote memorization or whatever it is, or just kind of getting through. In the beginning, when I was speaking publicly, for sure, I would have my whole talk, and sometimes my talk would be 2 hours long. And I would get out and, what did I say? What did I say? I don't even know. It's just, I'm in stimulation overload. I'm in, survival instinct, all this stuff. I'm just looking for things that can kill me. It really, very literally, that's where my brain is at, because I'm in just this overload, and I'm not present at all. Who knows what I said? I know I don't know what I said. But there's a very, very, and again, there's no judgment here. I'm not saying any, I'm not shaming myself or anything. It's just where I was in the moment. And when I tell a story, being present, it changes everything. It changes the energy. It changes if there's healing components that are built in within my story, which is what we do. We build in these healing components because we're talking them, and words are energy. So we're making sure that the energy that we're creating and distributing is good for us. But I'm actually more well by the end. And so, yeah, this isn't about, okay, you got 4 minutes, go. It's every word, every emphasis, every pause, everything means something to the alchemy of whatever this is, this painting, this sharing, this honoring. It's a different thing.
I love it. And I'm excited about this podcast. As we're wrapping up this episode, what would you like to end with? What would you like to let people know about what's coming up? I know we talked about the different people, Rob coming on, and all those different things. What would you like to say to the listeners to excite them about this podcast?
Well, I don't know what I could potentially say to excite people. Let me see. How do I excite you? The only thing that I can say is that the people who come on this podcast will have been through our training. Doesn't mean that they've mastered anything. It's just that they're aware of really, really powerful ways to bring their stories to life. And you're going to get an opportunity to hear first responders, veterans, and spouses share these deeply, deeply personal and transformational experiences. And again, as you said earlier, it's not to teach anybody what to do. This is what I did. This is what you need to know. I know because, I've done this before. It's not that. It's something else. We're just sharing life experiences. And if there is something that you happen to be able to take out of it, then amazing. And if not, it doesn't matter. It's not for you. Sorry to break it to you. It's not for you. It's for them to honor these paths. So if you want to take a look at these paintings, if you want to experience some of these visceral tellings of these experiences, then we're here. Yes. And I also want to add a bunch of things, and I don't know how this will be edited or not, but Warriorside is sponsored by Good Times Barbershop in Imperial Beach.
Love it.
Those guys cut my hair and my beard all the time, and those dudes are amazing family. I've been going to them for years. They give you a beer while I don't drink, but if they had mushrooms, they'd probably give me a mushroom while I'm sitting there. I'm kidding. No, they won't. No, they wouldn't. That's totally illegal. And they actually have never done that. So never mind. But anyway,
our former sponsor.
Yeah, totally. Anyway, those guys were cool. It was amazing. Also, if you're finding some of the things that we're talking about interesting, I wrote a book, Leading from the Deep, a Navy SEAL Psychedelic Approach to Conscious Leadership. Don't forget to like and subscribe us and leave us reviews at Warriorside. We're on YouTube, all the things. It's just going to help us reach more listeners and continue to bring your stories from out of the fire. If you are driven to support our mission, please consider donating or sponsoring Warriorside. Every contribution helps us keep this platform running and enables us to provide storytelling training and to a huge platform of veterans and first responders and their spouses. Our goal is to help this community reconnect to themselves and the community around them through the power of their storytelling, allowing them to refine their stories and earn an income even long after they leave the Warriorside stage. Upcoming shows will feature more incredible guests and powerful stories. Follow us on social media. We're especially on LinkedIn and Instagram and Facebook, staying away from TikTok for all the reasons. And thank you for being a part of the Warriorside community. We're not meant to walk this path alone. By sharing your authentic story, you can connect with and inspire others to find their own path. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, I think this
Yeah.
is a great first episode. Again, I want to reiterate, we are going to build this community because it's important, it's necessary, and we need the support of everybody involved. If you're listening to this, share it with somebody you know make an impact with, whether they're a veteran, a first responder, or just someone that wants to enjoy this information, these stories that we're going to share, and get involved. Be part of it. Let's keep this growing because you're going to see through these interviews the impact that it makes on these men and women. And I'm proud to be part of it. I'm Noah Galloway. And of course, we have Diego Ugalde. Is it Ugalde? As close as we are, I don't think I've ever pronounced your name right. Say it for me.
That's correct. Ugalde.
Okay, so I've said it right. All right, never mind. I shouldn't have questioned myself and just went with it and said, if I said it wrong, well, that's how he says it now. All right, thank you. We're going to wrap this up.
Hey, what about your book, though?
I have a book.
You got a book.
Yeah, I have a book, Living with No Excuses, that talks about my experiences of different stages of my life, of childhood to being injured to different things, and even Dancing with the Stars. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Diego. But I'm just excited to be part of this podcast, be part of Warriorside. I think this is powerful. I think it's real. I think it's going to make an impact on a lot of men and women.
We already have, and we're doing it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to follow on Instagram at The Warriorside.